Shields up, Ironbreakers. We're here coming at you with another edition of the Kast, and in today's episode we're going to be talking about this PC Gamer article where Electronic Arts says the old way of releasing games doesn't work anymore. And this is an article that I ran into while I was going through my news feeds. This article is based off of one of those quarterly earnings calls that these big publishers tend to do when they talk about their products, how much money they made, all of that stuff. And they took bits and pieces from that conference call and they wrote this article. And as I read through the article, I was just genuinely disappointed. So I just had to make a video talking about this stuff because this is definitely not the direction that I want the video game industry to go in. And I really hope that nobody else follows suit with what EA is planning because I just think it's completely wrong. Because for starters, I would actually argue that the old way of releasing games is fine and well. The problem is the new way that they are releasing games where every single game needs to be a live service that needs to take up every single minute of your time, which I find to be completely and utterly ridiculous. As a matter of fact, in 2019, I would argue that the best experiences that I've had in video games were actually single-player games. So, I mean, there you go. Anyway, continuing onwards, one of the first things that they mention is their struggles with Anthem in moving from what was initially a BioWare game, which would be somewhere between 40 to 80 hours of offline play, plus 40 to 80 hours of offline play in addition to 100, 200, 300 hours of Elder games. That happens with millions of other players that scale online. And here's the thing. For starters, Anthem does not have 40 to 80 hours of offline play. Anthem is an always online game. There is no offline play whatsoever. And you can say, oh, they're talking about when you are playing solo through the campaign. And it's like, yes, you can play solo if you actually go through the menus and turn the thing into private, but by default you are queuing to play with other players. By default you are expected to play even through the campaign with other players. So there's no such thing as offline play when it comes to Anthem whatsoever. The whole thing is designed from top to bottom to be played in multiplayer, and it's fairly easy with some of the objectives that you have throughout the campaign that it is definitely designed around multiple players helping out, like, hey, collect 12 orbs, and you're just like, oh great, like, at least now you can collect 3 at a time, whatever. Were you always able to collect 3 at a time? I actually don't even remember anymore. But regardless of that, there is no offline play, okay? And you don't have those 100, 200, 300 hours of Elder game because simply the development power was not there. And I don't think that every single game needs to be this way, okay? And this thing that you're doing, again, is not the old way of releasing games. This is the new way of releasing games. The old way of releasing games is where you sell us a game for $60 and you give us the full game day one, as opposed to like, hey, here's the roadmap and all of these other things that we're going to be putting out, which, you know, as we've seen, it's not really working all that well. But anyway, it actually gets worse as we go deeper into this article. EA is also examining how it presents new games to potential audiences with an eye towards managing expectations. Wilson said that in Asia, major online games generally go through a soft launch and multiple community tests before everything goes live, which enables EA to get a better idea of how they will behave at scale. In the West, however, major publishers have stuck with older conventions, a drip-feed approach to marketing to build up the appetite and excitement for the game that leads straight into release. You see, here's the thing. You're talking about games that soft launch with an open beta, and there's plenty of those games out there. Some of them are actually quite successful, like when you look at Path of Exile or Warframe, and there are plenty of more examples that I really don't remember all that well because I don't play that many free-to-play games. But the distinction between those games and the games that Electronic Arts releases is that those games are free to play. There is no barrier to entry. Players can just like go in there, they can start playing the game. There's no barrier to entry. The games that you are releasing, EA, on the other hand, are $60 premium experiences for the most part, like Anthem. It is a $60 premium experience, but essentially you want to sell that to us as an open beta, and you still want us to pay for the privilege of actually testing the game. Now, make no mistake, I don't have any regrets with the time that I've spent in Anthem because I liked what I've played up until the end. It just kind of sucks that there wasn't anything else there, and it was disappointing that you guys really didn't know what you had in your hands because the polish on the actual gameplay of Anthem, I'm not saying about all the systems surrounding it, the loot, all that. I'm just talking about the polish on the actual core gameplay of Anthem. The gear, the abilities, all of that stuff was phenomenal. It was amazing. The flying was awesome. You had a great thing in your hands, and you completely threw it away because quite simply you didn't know how to actually support it. you still don't know exactly what makes this game great. And let me just give you a very quick example. And this is maybe not about EA, it's more about BioWare. But let me just give you a very quick example, a very simple thing. One of the best things about Anthem is the flying mechanic. I think everybody can agree about that. It's amazing to fly in Anthem, right? They put out a new Stronghold, which was the first piece of like major content that they've done in a good long while. You want to know what the first thing happens in that Stronghold? There's a no-fly zone. They literally strip away one of the most fun things about their game at the very beginning of one of their new pieces of content. If that doesn't show you how disconnected these people are from their game, I don't know what will. Anyway, as games have gotten bigger, that system isn't working as well as it has done in years gone by. What are you even talking about? The system hasn't been working as well as in years gone by because you're not using it. Every single game that you put out is a live service. Need for fucking Speed was a live service with slot machines in it. Battlefront 2 was a live service with slot machines in it. Everything that you put out. I'm surprised that Anthem, interestingly enough, for all the criticism that we give to Anthem, it actually didn't have that many predatory microtransactions in it. I don't know if it's changed since then, but when I was playing, I really didn't feel that much pressure to actually, buy any of the stuff in the game, which I was genuinely surprised by. But anyway, so what you should expect from us is that it's not just about changing the development process in the game. It's not just about changing the QA processes in the game, although both of those things are being changed dramatically inside the organization right now. It also comes down to changing how we launch games. You should expect that we will start to test things like soft launches, the same things that you see in the mobile space right now. It also comes down to changing how we communicate with players. Our entire marketing organization now is moving out of presentation mode and into conversation mode and changing how we interact with players over time. He actually said it. You literally said the same things you see in the mobile space right now. I mean, here's the thing. If Electronic Arts just wants to go deep down the road of free-to-play games, and they're actually going to develop these as free-to-play experiences that they then plan on monetizing, that is one thing. Go forth. Do whatever the hell you want, dude. If you want to go free-to-play, I mean, I personally am not usually that interested in free-to-play games. There's a couple of them here and there, like I enjoyed Warframe. I like Path of Exile. I also like, what was the name of the game? Dauntless. Like, there's a lot of free-to-play games that I think are fun, but usually I tend to taper off of free-to-play games pretty fast because of the monetary microtransactions that they have in those games and how, sometimes you just start feeling like you need to pay in order to progress. But regardless of all that stuff, I'm not trying to point fingers at any of those free-to-play games. I'm just saying, if you want to go down the free-to-play road, just right ahead. I mean, I think you guys are actually extremely talented to go down that road because, I mean, you're already doing it in $60 titles. The thing is, if you're going to start doing soft launches with $60 titles, I mean, that might be one of the most despicable things I've ever heard. You're like, yeah, we're launching this beta. Pay us $60 to pay this beta and test it out and then give us feedback so that we can fix this game. I mean, that's not the type of gaming experiences that I want to have. You want to know the type of gaming experiences that I want to have? I want to have experiences like Monster Hunter World. Okay, Monster Hunter World, and I know that I talk about Monster Hunter World a lot in my channel, but Monster Hunter World is like, here's this 4-player co-op game, which is complete from day one, with enough content for you to spend like 1,000 hours on it, if you want to. If you don't, you can spend like up to 100, 200, however much you want. You can play with your friends, you can play it by yourself. It is optional. The multiplayer portion of it is optional. And I think that is a key aspect of it. But either way, they did that. And then on top of it, they also added value to that game by adding new monsters, adding seasonal events, and doing all of the things that a live service usually tends to do for a game. But they just did it for free. They did it for everyone. And at the same time, they were able to launch a full product. And that is why I personally have spent like 1,200 hours with that game. See, that is when you do something right. Because your problem with Anthem is not that is not the way that you launch. I mean, it is the way that you launch, but your problem with Anthem is not about the player base and things are changing and things just don't work anymore. Is that you didn't launch a complete product. Not only you didn't launch a complete product, you didn't launch a fully polished product. That is the problem with Anthem. It was not feature complete. It was not fully polished. It was not ready to be released, period. Okay? That is why it didn't work out. It is not because the market doesn't want games like that. It is not because it couldn't have worked out. It's because the game launched, people played it, and people were like, this is not enough. That's why your game struggled. It has nothing to do with the way you launched it. It has everything to do with the way you developed it and how you just kind of like rushed it out the door. And here is the most worrying quote that I see after all of this. And over time, we hope that we can lead from the front and help other developers and publishers change the way they do things as well. I certainly hope you don't. I certainly hope nobody follows suit with whatever the hell you're planning. I mean, unless you want to do free-to-play and other people want to do free-to-play too, then have at it. Go do whatever the hell you want. Go into the mobile space. Go do whatever you want. I'll even check out some of the games if I find them interesting. But ultimately, what I don't want to see anybody do is $60 open beta games. Like, if we reach that point and that becomes the norm for gaming, okay, I just got nothing. I got completely nothing. I just want my Monster Hunters. I want my Sekiros. I want whatever From Software is working on next. Some more Capcom stuff. They just released Dragon's Dogma on the Switch. That's what I want. I want full games. That's what we want. We want full games. Like, it can be a live service so long as you at least deliver us a full game to go with that live service. But what a lot of people are doing right now is that these live services are not full games. They become full games like maybe 2 years after they release, and you want us to pay for it, not only the actual release of the game, but also for the patches and all that other bullshit that comes after, which is not the case with Anthem, but is the case with something like, for instance, Destiny 2, right? And it's like the old way of doing things is fine. The new way of doing things is where you're going wrong. Not every single video game needs to be a live service. I understand that you guys are making billions off of FIFA and all of this other stuff, but not every new game needs to be a live service. And you can see that Sekiro, success story, Monster Hunter World, success story, and there's plenty of more single-player games like we had, Resident Evil 2, the remake, success story, Devil May Cry 5, success story. It's like all of these games are coming out, success stories, and you're just like focusing on, no, we need to live service, milk players for ages. Come on. Get your shit together, guys. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. If you didn't enjoy it, hit the dislike button. Thank you all very much for watching. If you're new here, subscribe, bell notification icon, the usual stuff, comments and feedback in the comment section down below. Stay strong, and may your shields never break.